Hey everybody, Turdpolisher here. Instead of beer 30 here in Redmond, Oregon, now it is Arizona sweet tea time in Redmond, Oregon. Anyway, today's project I'm going to be working on the restoration of my rims. If you guys are anything like me, you kind of like saving a little bit of money on your projects and more importantly, putting all the work into it to make it your own. Anyway, right here I have a WS6 15x8 rim that I picked up on eBay. Snowflake, of course, but I'm going to be restoring it because, as you can see, it's pretty beat up in many areas. Right up in here you can see that curb rash. Well, I'm not worried about that because I'm going to be fixing that later on, but now I'm just going to be getting it ready and prepping it for the actual paint process. The first step in this process of restoration is I'm going to be using the aluminum oxide sandpaper, also glass bead abrasive in 80 grit. That's specifically used for aluminum, and it should state on there it's for aluminum. The reason why is you don't want to use any other products that are going to cause any type of rust, pitting, or anything like that within your rim. You want to have good adhesion, of course, of anything else, and using any type of sand in your sandblasting is going to cause the chemical reaction between the two that causes all sorts of hardships. So I'm going to be using aluminum oxide along the whole rim, just cleaning it up inside, out, and scrubbing it down with 320. Then I'm going to chase it with probably a 600 and then 1,000 before I go ahead and use my buffing compound on it in the future. Second step you want to use is to grab a hold of your glass bead abrasive and just a little blast feed gun and start taking off, of course, all the paint. Then the second step after that is you want to clean it really well with mineral spirits. Cleaning it is really important. The most important part of any painting process, in my opinion, is the cleaning process. Anyway, after that, you just simply chase it with some self-etching primer along in here, and at the same time taping off the area the best you can that you're going to be buffing out, namely right up in here and so on and so forth. Second of all, and most important after the self-etching primer, is going to be your wheel coating. Now this wheel coating came from Classic Industries, and it is a direct match in texture and everything else to the original Snowflake Placer Gold color. So this was like 16 bucks or something like that at Classic Industries, and it's made by Factory Wheel Coatings, or you can find out more about it at oerparts.com. But anyway, this is the paint I'm going to be using in Placer Gold. About 2 coats, maybe 3, and then after that I'm going to be using the Duplicolor high performance coating in clear to really keep it solid and to protect it and to keep the rock chips down and all that other good stuff. I've used this before and it works very, very, very good. So anyway, once again, back to the self-etching primer. You really don't have to put that much on. Just a light coat is going to be enough to protect that surface and to convert any other rust that you might have on there, or to etch it through properly to get good adhesion for your wheel paint. Now, instead of going out and spending $200 or whatever it is for a blast cabinet for my sand media, I just decided to build my own. What the heck? So I took a tarp and just kind of mounted it over a ladder, and with the box that the wheel came in, and a heat lamp up there from the chicken coop to keep it warm, I'm just going to go ahead and use this as my as my sandblasting area. So just as an idea, things you can do to save money. Once again, this will help contain all of the glass beads so it can be swept up again and reused. And by just tucking the tarp underneath the legs, it helps keep everything contained for the most part. And of course, by putting it inside of a box, I'll be able to save what I can that way too. As far as everything else, needing a cover for my face, I don't need that because I'm going to have goggles on. So you can leave the front open, but this works for me and I just thought I'd share it with you as a good idea. Now that I've cleaned it the best I could with my 80 grit glass bead and that cheap old little sandblaster I had, what I'm going to do is make sure that everything is nice and flush because I wasn't able to get off all of the old paint from it. So I'm going to use a 120 grit aluminum oxide once again, sandpaper, just to kind of get it into these areas and make sure that I have everything all feathered correctly from the old paint should be on there, and make sure I get a nice level and even adhesion. And then following this process, after I go along the whole wheel and all the little areas that I have, make sure it's flush, is I'm going to clean it with some mineral spirits. Following the mineral spirits, I'm going to be using an old trick that I learned, and that is using Chap Stick or some sort of a lubricant like Vaseline would work too. Now, if you were to tape off this whole area and then spray this, you're going to have all this paint all over this, and this is a pain in the butt to get off. There's a way to do that, and it involves using mineral spirits and a red scratch pad, scratch pad to get that off. But we're going to be saving that time by using some Chap Stick. Now, once again, this is a lubricant, so it's really easy just to take this petroleum product and kind of glide it all along your edges, really nice and evenly, the best you can. And if you happen to get some on the side, just kind of wipe it off. But once again, this is going to create a nice seal between the aluminum and the paint and the primer to keep it from sticking, and then it'll very easily lift off and not give you that problem of having to scrub. So that's how I'm going to be taking care of this, and we'll see the results in a minute. I've left plenty of time for the acid etch primer to flash off, and now it's time to apply our factory wheel coating in the color of placer gold.
Anyway, stick around for more music and check my email right after these ads.
I'm just going to use a light coat on the first coat, no big deal. And I'm going to shoot all the areas that I can see without having to keep moving the wheel. And then I'm going to turn it and keep going with it. Then I'm going to let it sit and come back and do another coat. Once again, light coat first time. Now I have the first coat of placid gold paint on. And now I just set up a little heater here and also used a heat gun to go ahead and speed up that process to kind of bake it on just like they do with car auto body. So I'll let it sit there for about 10 minutes and then come back and shoot the second coat. Alright, I've applied my third and final coat of paint, and I've allowed it to flash off with the heater here for about a good 15-20 minutes. And now the final step is I'm going to apply the clear coat that we talked about, which is the duplicolor wheel coating, which is really strong from my experience. And the reason why I want to do it one coat now and then coats later on is I want to be able to protect that painted surface from the final step, which is cleaning up all these edges that we talked about with the Chap Stick. Now when I use that, I'm going to be using a red Scotch-Brite pad with the mineral spirits, and by using the clear coat now, it's going to help protect that painted surface if the mineral spirits were to come in contact with an area that I don't want it to. So just an added precaution. As you can see, I've started with the removal of the paint that I wanted to remove right along the edges, and I've actually been using a little body filler knife, or you could use a putty knife, just to nicely scrape that off. As you can see, it comes off really easily, and it's just a matter of getting the original hard stuff off, and then following it with your red Scotch-Brite pad along with the mineral spirits to kind of give it that final polish. I've now removed all of the paint using the scraper, and now it's time for me to use my paper towels, my red Scotch-Brite pad, and a little bit of mineral spirits to do the final cleanup work. Now, we've already sanded this area up along the edge with 320 aluminum oxide paper. The next step in grittiness is going to be what I think is, and what I use, is a red Scotch-Brite pad along with the mineral spirits. The mineral spirits do an excellent job at removing a lot of the oxidation that is on the aluminum. And of course, as you know, if you have oxidation on your aluminum, you can't get it to shine. So by scrubbing it down really well with the mineral spirits, and the way I do it is I put a little bit of mineral spirits on the Scotch-Brite pad. Now this is pretty porous, so it's going to absorb a lot of that. I don't want it dripping all over the place. So then what I'll do is I'll just blot it with a blue paper towel and hold the paper towel and use that for wiping off all of the excess stuff. Similar to, I don't know, getting a tattoo, if you will. I only have one of them, but anyway, it's kind of like, you know, tattoo artist. He's going to paint your skin with a needle, and then he follows it up, taking the blood off with a little bit of that towel. So kind of like the same process here, but it'll really shine things up and get it to that next step and getting it ready for our rouge. And there you have it. After the paint job, and after it's set, after I've scrubbed it down with the red Brillo pad and the mineral spirits, it's now time to do the buffing. So stick around for the next section where I'm going to talk specifically about buffing compounds, which ones to use, how to use it, and then how to also repair curb damage. So anyway, this is the Turdpolisher. I hope you learned something. I had fun doing it. Altogether it took me about 5 hours to do this wheel, but that's okay. Once again, I'd rather do the work myself than to pay somebody else to do it, and in the long run I'm saving myself a lot of money and having fun. So anyway, good luck with all your projects. This is the Turdpolisher. Until next time, check it out. Bye.